Dr. Deputy. I'm going to have this slideshow play in the background and connect to the connectedness that you do in your schools every day. One of the amazing things for me this year is as we designed site visits to be different and more meaningful and spend time in your schools. There's an opportunity for us to connect to not only your staff, but also to your students in a more personal way. And so I just had them put a few clips up of some of the trips we've had. And let me tell you, the student voice is amazing. They ask lots of tough questions. In fact, I think sometimes the kids' questions are tougher than the questions that I am asked in public, especially in light of what has happened nationally with walkouts. But they have been super amazing, and we've had opportunities to connect with your students, with your staff, and so we are going to continue that practice. So elementary schools, I know that I did not get to a lot of you this year. We started elementary visits, but next year we'll push in and there will be a calendar of scheduled visits coming out to elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. We'll cut back on those 4-hour visits and they will only be 2 hours. And so I'm super excited that we'll have more time in the elementary schools as we move forward for the next year. But there's great work being done in all your schools. So today is definitely the last Lead, Teach, Learn of the year. Are you guys excited that it's the last one? Kinda? Break time, right? A little bit. These have been I'm like, well, it's the last one. You get a break before we start over. Thank you to the team, Sal, and everybody who puts these together. Can we give them a round of applause? Because there's been some amazing work with EduTalks and people putting in the good work. Today we're going to explore Fundamental 4. As you know, Trish was up here. And Trish and team, thank you. We just came from Chicago, and Washoe is really leading the charge in some of this work across the nation around social emotional learning, and we are providing our services and our bumps in the road and how we have achieved such great success. So Trish and team, thank you for the work that you've done also around social emotional learning. Thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you as we close this year off for the intentional work you have done with students. As we walk through schools and hear student stories, the one that comes to my mind is a story that happened in Incline recently of a young girl that was in a CLS class. And her story to me was Miss Davis. And actually, she actually said this, if you guys, y'all time, or if you remember this, she said, we were talking, and she didn't say Superintendent Davis, she said, "Hey, girl." And I was like, okay, that's cool. But she is a freshman, and she is actually working to be independent when she graduates because she had a model of another student who just passed all her tests, and she will be able to live independently on her own. But the freshman was so full of energy as she talked to me, and she was very thankful for the work that happened in the school. But when you see the look in her eyes, and we talk about every child by name and face to graduation, here's a kid who may felt like she would not have an opportunity to get to the finish line and get a diploma and live on her own. But her conversation with me was about the work that's happening at school so that she can graduate and she can go on to college and she can do all this work. And I think that speaks mountains to the work that you all do in your schools each and every day. When we talk about our students are more than a data point or a score, they have stories. I'll tell you, this year we have had so many amazing stories of the good work that you do each and every day. And I think part of that has to do with sticking to the course. We haven't changed the amount of work we want to do. We're going to stick to our fundamentals and continue to expand on that work as a continuous school improvement process. So thank each and every one of you who have shared your stories with me, shared your kids with me. Gina, Tyler is amazing, and just various stories as we have done visits. Chris Heckbush, your daughter, and playing basketball. I just think there's so many stories that I don't have an opportunity to share with you as I'm in schools, but there's so many stories. And to me, that's how Central Office has an opportunity to connect to our schools. As we go in and we hear your stories, Roberta tried to get me on a bike to go to 7-Eleven, but that date wasn't there, but always providing these opportunities for us to engage with you and your staff. So continue to do that because they become very beneficial to us. I want to speak a little bit about Student Strength and Voices conferences. So for those of you who participated, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's give a round of applause to everybody who was involved in that because there was a lot of work. I'm not sure how many kids. I know there were a lot. I'm thinking over 500 kids. I don't know, there were a lot of kids, but to see our kids lead the charge in conversations around equity, around data, around graduation, around special education, around accountability was super, super amazing and challenging adults to think. I have to tell you, I was in a group with a little girl from Mount Rose, and she was challenging our group, and I was like, wow, this is great to hear kids talk about the work that we do. And to me, that's when you know you have ownership and engagement versus compliance, because all the things we heard the kids talk about were things that you're doing in your buildings, and they really have ownership of those things. I want to thank the people doing Ed Talks. Ed Talks have been super, super, super amazing. And today we have Ed Talks by two amazing schools that, because of bad weather, did not get to do their Ed Talks. So today we're going to call up Jay Salter. You got to say the special introduction. I'm sorry. Today we're going to call up Mike Doring, who's going to introduce our first Ed Talk by Inspire Academy.